what we're talking about with this part here is using strip silence. And so I just recorded in halftime, so we have space to do strip silence in here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the beginning part because I know I don't need that. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the end part over here. Just do a fade up on the beginning and a fade out on the end so I don't have any pops and clicks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the long way to do this, and I'm going to show you the quick way to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new playlist, and I'm going to call this one Strip Silence. Oops, wait, hold on. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to delete that playlist. Here's how you delete playlists, which we haven't talked about yet. Make sure the playlist that you've got that you want to keep is up on your screen right here, and you click on the playlist window and you go to delete unused, and it's going to show you all the unused playlists in your track. I don't want to delete all that other stuff, but I do want to delete this counting slow strip silence because that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to duplicate this. So that's how you do it. You can go in here and you can say, I want to delete my unused playlist. All the unused playlists in the whole entire project are going to show up in here, the whole entire session. They're going to show up in here. So you can delete them all at once, just hold down shift and hit delete, or whatever, some of them by holding down command. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to duplicate this. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this, and I'm going to give it a new name, strip silence. There we go. So now we got that. It looks exactly the same. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the first one here. I'm going to edit this by hand. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to go in here and delete all this stuff out like this. And I can do this pretty quickly just because I've done this so many times in my life. Go back and give it a listen. The dog is chilling out. Good. Glad to see the dog is chilling out. Oop. Got a couple more in here. That looks like a breath. Awesome. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this. I don't need my metronome right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That 10 has a dog bark in the middle of it. Rough. Let's go ahead and record just that 10 again real quick. 7, 8, 9. Okay, we're going to start here and turn the metronome back on. I'm just going to record that 10 again using quick punch. There we go. Okay. 8, 9, 10. Awesome. Actually, let's do it one more time. 8, 9, 10. Perfect, I think. Let's go ahead and listen to that 10 real quick and make sure it sounds as perfect as I think it does. Yeah, stop dog barking, dog. You're the cause of this whole thing. 11, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. A little bit overexcited. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. It's not a little bit overexcited. There's not a whole lot I can do. I'm just going to move on for it now. But that's basically because we're not really talking about this. I just thought I'd get in there and get a little bit on it. But at least we don't have the dog bark, right? So what I did was I went through and I edited all the spaces out. Now, in this case, if I edit the spaces out, we can hear like the room kind of disappearing from stuff, which is not really the point. I wouldn't leave it like this in real life. I would actually, you want to have some room sound in the background there. So, which you can do by just getting a sample of a room sound, just the sound of a room. But what we're going to do here is show you how to edit that more quickly using strip silence. Now, strip silence, if we go back to the notes over here, strip silence is basically a manual gate. A gate is this. Here, let's put a gate on it. Go to Dynamics, go to Gate, Expander Gate. This is the one that comes with Pro Tools. This is the one that comes with Pro Tools. You can get different gates from different companies, but this is the one that you have out of the box. And what happens with a gate, you probably learned this from Kia, is that a gate is like a gate in the real world. It opens and it closes. So if I have a yard with a fence around it and I want to get into the yard to get to my house, I have to put a gate on it. And I open the gate and I go through the fence and we're good to go. I can get into my house. Well, an audio gate works exactly the same way, hence the name gate. The reason why it's called a gate is because it opens and closes and lets audio through. What do you recommend for a beginner? FL Studio or Logic? I don't know. Whichever. Logic, FL Studio, I don't know. It depends. So with a gate here, we can open and close for the audio. Now, audio has what we call a loudness, right? It gets louder, it gets softer. What we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, gate, when the audio level becomes loud enough, you're going to open and let the audio through. But otherwise, you're going to be closed. And so anything that's under here is going to be silent. Now, this is really useful if you have some like a type of sound going on in the background and you want your sound to be clean and clear until somebody talks. You don't want that sound to be happening in the background. So what we'll do is we'll set a gate and that background sound will be like this. Just a steady sound. So we'll set the threshold of the gate. Now let's move this up. We'll set the threshold of the gate so that all the noise is down here. And when I talk, hello, it comes up above this threshold right here. And the gate opens and my sound comes through. And this is great because it enables us to automatically keep all the quiet stuff silent. Not just quiet, but silent. And then anytime I talk, it allows you to hear what I'm saying. Okay? So in order for it to do that, we've got the threshold. That's the point which the gate starts working. Same thing pretty much as the threshold on a compressor, the point at which the compressor starts working. Well, this is the point at which the gate starts working. Then we have here the ratio is a weird one. A lot of gates don't have ratios. We have the attack time, which is how long for the gate to open. If I wanted to open up slowly, we put a slow attack time. If we wanted to open up quickly, we put a fast attack time. Then I've got my hold. What is the minimum time the gate will stay open for? This is a really important one. Then we've got our release. The release is how long it takes for the sound to come back down to silence. And these are really important for gates. They're also very important for compressors, but you can hear them a lot on gates. Like it's easy to hear on a gate because you're hearing all the noise and stuff. And the threshold, this knob over here is just the same thing as this over here. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with here. The attack, hold, release, and threshold are the main ones for gates. The range is like how loud is stuff when it's just being closed or not. So if you want to be completely silent, put that range as soft as possible. And the ratio, again, is a weird one. Most gates don't have a ratio. So I would just keep that up like that. But you can adjust that, I guess, to make it, I don't know, to have more control over it. All right, so now if I go ahead and use this, watch what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? It's cutting out the beginnings. Oh, don't eat that. Stop it. No. Oh my God. Stop. Sorry, people. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. This is really nice. I know my dog likes to chew on cables, and I'm still... Let me just make sure that we're still broadcasting. Are we still broadcasting? It seems like we are. Okay, good. All right, sorry about that, y'all. The dog is a silent Deadly predator. Okay, so you can hear what's happening is that it's like cutting the beginnings and ends off of things. So how can we fix that? Well, we can do this. We can use our attack to, let's see, we can adjust the range a little bit. We can use the attack to kind of open things up a little bit slower, faster. Put our threshold down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you can hear the gate is working. It does a pretty good job here. One of the problems that I'm running into with how this sounds is that we can hear birds and stuff chirping in the background. So if I were to keep opening and closing this gate, you're going to hear those birds chirping in the background. There's nothing we can do about that except for record it without the birds, which is going to be hard, or just leave it on open all the time and not put a gate on it, which is probably what I would do in real life because I like the sound of birds and stuff like that in my recordings. Seriously, I'm not doing the commercial recordings where everything needs to be crystal clear and sterilized. I'm doing recordings where I want some vibe to it. So I'm actually okay with birds and stuff in the background there. Now, this is fine. Setting up a gate like this, I've gotten better at it over the years. When you first start using gates, it's really, they're kind of a pain to use. So what I like to do, and I like to do this anyway, even though I know how to use gates pretty well, I like to use, whoa. Wait, hold on a second. What did I just do? Go back to this. Okay, what I like to do is I like to use strip silence, Command U. And strip silence is basically like a manual gate that you don't have to do by hand. Okay, strip silence is basically like a manual gate that you don't have to do by hand. So I'm going to keep these both on the screen here. Let me go down a little bit, zoom in a little bit. And I want you to pay attention with what's going on up here when I make changes down here. So just like the gate that we just talked about, our gate plugin, we have a threshold, we have a duration, which is the hold, and we have a start pad and a start end. This one doesn't have a fade up and a fade out. It doesn't have or basically an attack or a release. That's kind of what the start pad and ends are doing, but we do have to put in our fades by hand if we want to have fades. What I'm going to do here is as soon as I start moving this stuff, you start to see more of these little boxes appear. See that box that's right here? See, there's a box here and a box here. Well, these boxes, what they do is they show me where the audio has crossed my threshold. So the stuff that's inside the boxes is the stuff I'm going to keep. That's the stuff that we're going to be stripped. And the stuff outside the boxes is I should say it the other way. It's the stuff that's going to be stripped out is the stuff outside the boxes. The stuff it's inside is what we're going to keep. So I can adjust my threshold here, and you can see it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller until I go all the way up. There's nothing going to be stripped out. If I go down like this, we can see things start to happen. And if we look, we can see in this case, it's cutting a lot of stuff out. So if I go ahead and strip this, watch what happens. Go ahead and strip it, click strip. It gets rid of all that stuff. If we listen to this, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Not useful at all. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the strip threshold down until it looks like it's pretty good. And I like this right here. Whoops, see, I don't see what happened right here. I don't want those two to kind of band together. So I'm going to use the minimum duration at this point. I'm going to say, okay, the minimum duration is how long you're going to stay open just immediately. Okay, so that's okay. That's about as much as we can do without these starting to band together. So I'm going to start to use my pad in the front and the end. And you see these ones kind of went together here. There's nothing I can really do about it. They're just so close together and there's so much sound happening. Let's go ahead and move this up a little bit so I can maybe try to get some of that back. Yeah. You can see here though, there's like an ending to this one that's like, I can't really do anything about here. I'm going to turn the minimum duration down a little bit. There we go. And you can see I'm going to have to do a little bit of work with these anyway, but I'm going to go ahead and hit strip, and it's going to cut these out. Let's listen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, I hit undo so many times it went back to the dog barking. Whatever. The dog is going to bark. All right. So we can hear that actually it did a really good job of cutting it out. And it sounds actually pretty good there. Now what I might want to do is I might want to put a little fade on the end of some of these. And what you can do with this is you can actually go in here and I can highlight these and hit, what is it, Option F? No. Command F. And I can put fades on these. I can make sure it puts fades on these automatically. Let's say don't create new crossfades, don't create new fade ins. Let's just do create new fade outs, and I hit this, and now every single one of them has a little fade out. The way I did that was I hit Command F, and I've got multiple clips selected here. So you just go down to each one. What do I want to do with these multiple clips? Do I want to fade them in? Do I want to fade them out? Well, I don't want to fade them in. Actually, maybe let's fade them in a little bit. Like the fade out here, let's do the fade out at 200 milliseconds. I don't want to do crossfades on these because they're not connected together. Hit OK. Now we have a little fade on each one. Let's listen to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that sounds pretty good. I'm gonna hit Command F again, and I'm gonna do a different type of fade here. Let's do one of these, and let's listen again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this sounds better to me. 7, 8. A little bit more natural. 9, 10. Okay, so this is how we can do this quickly because we're doing kind of multiple things at one time. Let me just do this one more time for you to show you how it all works. I'm going to hit Command Z to undo back to the beginning here. So first steps first is I select whatever track, whatever clip it is I want to use my strip silence. Let's go in here. Okay, Command U, select the clip you want to apply the strip silence to, and then hit Command U. Adjust the controls appropriately and then apply strip silence. The controls, threshold, duration, all that stuff there. Okay, extra pad and the start and the end. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. Click on this, Command U. It's showing me pretty good stuff because it's actually coming up with my settings that I had previously. That looks good. If I adjust the beginning part, if I adjust the end part, and you can see there's not a whole lot you can adjust with this. I'm going to hit strip, but you can also see, like, you see the end here like that. That's like, if I listen to it, I actually am not missing that when I listen to it. So next, once you've got it set up and it looks pretty good for how you've got it set, well, your next part here is what do you want to do to it? And there's 3 options down here. The applications are, you can do a strip, which is going to cut out the quiet bits, leaving the the clips with the louder audio. This is like a normal gate. This is the normal way you'd want to do this. Extract cuts out the loud bits, leaving clips with the soft audio. This is like the opposite of the gate. This one is like a weird one. If you wanted to get all your extra sounds, you could use this, and there are definitely some uses for this, but they're very specialized. And then separate only separates the clips. Nothing is cut out. So if all you want to do is just separate out the clips and don't cut anything out, then you can just use separate. Keep in mind, strip silence is non-destructive. So basically, if you want to edit stuff later after you apply strip silence, you can. You can absolutely apply that strip silence. You can absolutely apply edits after you've applied strip silence. So like that stuff there. There's also a handy little picture of what padding does here. The pad adds extra little bit to the beginning and the end. You can see down here in the diagram. Okay, so let's go back over here. Let's just take a look at what each one of these does. Extract gets out the loud bits. Separate just separates things into individual clips. They're all in their own individual clips now. And then strip gets rid of the quiet bits, which is what we want to have. Okay. Now we've got these all selected. I'm going to use my fade tool, Command F, to do a fade on multiple ones. By default, it's going to come up with all three of them turned on. Just go ahead and make sure you turn off this here. I do want to have fade ins. I don't want to have fade outs. Let's do the fade ins very similar to how we had the fade outs. I want to do fade ins. I do want to do fade outs. Good. Let's make the fade outs a little bit less long, I guess is the word. Hit OK. Now we got fade ins and fade outs for every single one of them. Let's listen to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now you can hear the reverb in there. That's just how it's going to be. I'm not going to easily be able to get rid of that reverb without some special plugins or something. And even so, if I do that, it's not going to be perfect. The best way to get a recording with no reverb is to be in a room that doesn't have any reverb. Have your room treated, have it set up so it doesn't have any reverb. That's really the only way we can do no reverb in our rooms, in our recordings. So now I've got this here. What I would do is I would just make sure the timing is correct for all these. 1, 2, like you can hear that one's a little bit on the lates, on the early side. So I'm just gonna move it back a little bit. I'm just gonna click it. Before I do this though, maybe what I wanna do, probably what I wanna do, is duplicate this playlist. When you're ever about to make an edit to something and you're not sure if you wanna do that or not, duplicate the playlist, and that way you can always go back to your original sound. So I'm not sure about these edits I'm about to do. I think they're going to be pretty good, but just to make sure, I'm just going to duplicate that playlist and then I'm going to make my edit. So I got that one there, number 2. Okay, let's listen. 1, 2, better. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Great. For the most part, they all sound really good. I don't think I have any problems with how they sound, except for this number 2 was off, but now the number 2 sounds perfect. And if you listen to this, you wouldn't be able to hear that I did any editing to it, like in terms of timing and stuff like that, because it sounds good. There's no pops and clicks. There's nothing that says this person edited this. And this is really what you're going for. Now, in order to really become successful at it, you have to practice this. There's no way you can do this without a lot of practice. I have tons and tons of practice doing this stuff because I've just been doing it for a long, long time. All right, cool. Let's just make sure. So we've taken care of strip silence. We talked about playlists. Let's go back and talk a little bit more about some of these edit modes. And what I want to look at is the grabber tool on here. Before we do that though, actually, let's make this into a separate Pro Tools video here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my recording right there.